All right, let's go over something here for the shippers. The shippers out there today. Let's go over something. Shippers are using brokers. Why are they using brokers? They're using brokers because brokers have been used since the 1980s, and they wanted to cut back on. Well, they wanted to cut back on costs, so they get a broker to take care of the vetting. They get a broker to take care of the logistics, everything, every part of their company. That's and they're paying these brokers, and they're they're calling and they're bidding and they're making bids and they're getting these things. Well, this isn't the 1980s anymore. This is 2026. And 2026, we have technology. We have load boards. We have companies that can have their own load boards. We have all kinds of technology. ELDs, trackers, everything. Uh, you know, so this is my theory right here. This is what I'm going to try to explain. You get a broker's going to charge an amount. Okay, so you got, I'm going to use my antenna whip here. Shipper, broker, carrier, receiver. So the shipper pays $2,500. 10%, which is supposed to be a cap, would go to the broker. That means the load should pay $2,250. That's right. But brokers who have been around since 1980 in deregulation, that'd be President Carter. He was a failure. That's a product of the past. Hello? Come on, people, get with the program. Billing, okay? Negotiations, safety, technology, AI, all this stuff is being ignored because of brokers. So if you get a load straight from a shipper, you're guaranteed the load description for one. Okay? So if you've got a load of, say, lumber, the broker's just posting it on a load board and he's saying it's 48,000 pounds. He's cutting out everybody who can only haul 44,000 pounds because he's saying that you have to be able to haul 48,000 pounds. That's a crock. That's a crock because half the loads only weigh 44,000 pounds, which means that he's cutting off half the people that can actually haul that freight. And that's just hauling the freight. If you had shippers that did their own brokering or their own contracts, you'd get better communication. Okay? Because you're not going through a operator there, a mediator. You would have direct contact. All right? You would have somebody on the telephone, and you know if they speak English for one. You would know what kind of equipment they have. The shipper, no, I've gone to go pick up loads where they say it's pipe and it turns out to be rebar. How many of y'all have done that? I've gone to pick up loads where they say it's plate something, and it turns out to be styrofoam, insulation or some crap like that. These brokers, they don't care. They don't give a damn about anything. So they just throw out whatever they think it is, and smoke tarp and all that. Yeah, it needs a smoke tarp. Or I've gone to pick up. I used to have a contract. With Scott's, hauling mulch, and I'd see guys in there tarping mulch. And, why are you tarping mulch? Nobody needs to tarp mulch. You go down to Lowe's or Walmart or something like that, you drop it off, and what do? They throw it in a parking lot. But the broker says it's got to be tarped. Then they say, well, it don't got to be tarped. And you go out there and it's concrete block or it's bricks. And yeah, it's got to be tarped. It's against the law to run against, down the highway without it being tarped. So, I mean, brokers are just screwing stuff up. And you really, if you had a direct contact with the shipper, you would understand what the load is, if you can do it, and everything else. I've seen so many people cancel loads because they're too complicated for somebody who just got into the industry to do. Things like that, All right. Let's go with better relations. That's right. If you get better relations with drivers, you're going to be better with timing, regulars, dedications. I mean, people will come back. They'll come back to you and they'll make relations. Hey, Bob, good to see you again. Hey, Joe, thanks for having me. That makes a big difference in the trucking industry. I'll tell you what right now. When you're a regular and you go in there and somebody recognizes you, that is a wonderful feeling for a truck driver to be a regular. All right. And you will continue to go back and you will be dedicated. Timing is also, yes, a broker will tell you it's got to be there 2:00 in the afternoon the next day. If you're like I used to call the receiver all the time. I'd make telephone calls all day long. But you call them and they're like, yeah, well, just get in here when you get here. But the broker has got you on some made up schedule that they don't know anything about because they never been in a truck. Okay, so a broker charges $2,500, then finds the cheapest carrier to pocket the difference. That's a big one because a broker will charge $2,500, then find the cheapest carrier to pocket the difference. Let's say it's a Friday. I know this for a fact because I have had brokers tell me this. On Friday, they will drop that $2,500 down to about $1,800 because they know that the drivers are trying to get home for the weekend. That's $1,900. That means that they're pocketing $600. That's way over your 10% there, buddy. But they know that these drivers are trying to get home for the weekend. So they rob them blind. Also, same thing happens in the morning, like AM hours. They'll put a load up there for $1,900, and then by 3:00 in the afternoon, yeah, it's up to $2,250 because they know they got to move that load now, and nobody's taking it for $1,900. So, if a company, let's say the shipper, is paying $2,500, if they had their own load board and they directly contracted that load, they could save themselves $600. Imagine that. Imagine a company saving themselves $600 per load, shipping out 40 loads a day. There's 6 times 4, that's 24. I mean, you're talking about like $24,000 a day that the company could be saving. So, in essence, yes, that's right. That means shippers are paying 10 to 40% more than necessary. Now, if you take that and you fix it into cost of productivity and logistics, would it cost less to have somebody in the shipper's office to deal with carriers that call in, vet them on, say, truckstop.com or, whatever FMCSA or Safer Web or, and sign them up? Would it cost less to have a separate office to do that than it would to pay a broker 40% more than what the load is going for? One way or two way? That's right. This is a big one. I don't like this because this is what Scott's did to me. We used to get paid two way. We had a contract and they would pay us to go out 150, 200 miles and then come back and get another one empty. If we got a load coming back, we made double the money. Now, all these shippers want to pay one way. Well, how many carriers want to haul a load for 150 miles? Ain't no carriers want to haul a load for 150 miles for, $1.20 or whatever they're paying now. That's not how people want to work. Now, see, I used to haul a load, it'd be 100 miles, and it paid $800 because they paid out and back. I'll load 200 miles. It paid $1,100 because it went out and back. And you're doing good for yourself if you can haul a load 200 miles, make $1,100. That's because one way is loaded, one way is empty. That's how you make money. If you got something coming back, that's fine. You just pick up the next load the next day, and you were getting double paid. I mean, you're talking about 2,200 miles for 200 miles out and 200 miles back. Why has everything evolved except the process? Why has everything evolved except the process? Everything, you got all this technology, you got tracking devices, you got automatics, you got everything, but we're still using the same process from 1980. Come on, people, wake up. And who should be accountable and responsible? That's right. If you're a shipper, you verify everybody has their proper insurance, registration. You got to have there's insurance on like people that climb on your trailer or do whatever. There's another insurance. It's what is that? In case you get hurt on the job. I mean, these brokers aren't doing that. They're not making sure you have all that. A shipper could verify that all that is taken care of. That would make things a lot more easier. And who should be accountable and responsible? If someone gets in an accident right now, the broker should be responsible. That's right. That's the one reason that people are still using brokers. the broker or the carrier. But the broker should be responsible, because if someone shows up on a job site and he doesn't know how to tie down a coil, suicide coil, then that's the broker's responsibility, honestly. I don't think that falls on the carrier at all. I think that falls on the broker. So these are just a couple thoughts. And I'm telling you, if we got away from 1980 and jumped into 2026, yes, a broker would be out of the picture and shippers would be saving 10 to 40%, and that's on the light side, I'm telling you. So just give it some thought.